welcome to episode 1 of The Web of McWhorter. That's episode 1, or Texas Gets a Superhero. What I would like to do is that at some point I want people to start commenting on the videos, giving me requests, because I know I don't have everything, and I know that you guys probably don't want to see reviews of Spider-Man, Batman, and Nightwing all the time. So leave a comment at the end of the video if you like it, subscribe, go like my Facebook page, Web of McWhorter, to get all kinds of updates, updated on the whole thing, and good info on my Facebook page, plus some funny pictures. Leave comments below telling me what series you would like to see me review. Leave specific issue numbers if you can, because otherwise I'm just going to go pick up something random and you may not like it. So I'm going to introduce the subject matter now. That was on my itinerary here, and that is issue number 1, Scarlet Spider, and this is the new Scarlet Spider. I hope you're not hoping to see a review of issue number 1 of the old Scarlet Spider, because I don't have that. Now, after I get into the first issue here, I'm probably going to go a little bit further, because it doesn't reveal the costume in the first issue, and I like that in an origin story, getting set up to why the person's doing what they're doing and see their outfit. For that reason, the special surprise today is I'm also going to be reviewing issue number 2. As a whole, I'm going to do 1 and 2 as a whole story, because they're connected, and one picks up right where the other one leaves off, and it's pretty perfect. So, summarize issue number 1. Well, first I'm going to give you some backstory, like why, because Kane is in Houston, Texas, and you're probably wondering why. You're probably also saying, if you did not read any of the major Spider-Man story arcs before, Superior Spider-Man, and you're probably like, Kane's alive? In this big story thing called Spider Island, the Jackal comes back to fuck with Peter Parker's life one more time, and he has everybody in Manhattan spider powers, including the Avengers. Normal New York citizens are running around messing shit up, and they're like, yeah, man, these superheroes gonna break stuff. And so Spider-Man and the Spider Avengers are running around trying to keep things under control, along with Mary Jane, who's even more hot with spider powers. Kane, in this whole process, is revived by the Jackal and the true mastermind behind Spider Island, because the Jackal can't mastermind anything, apparently. They revive Kane, they bring him back from the dead, and his cellular degeneration he's super fucking ugly when they bring him back, because he's dead, and his cellular degeneration got pretty bad before he died anyway, and just bleh. After all the events of Spider Island, you come to the climax with the Spider Queen, who's the true mastermind behind Spider Island, and she's trying to turn everybody into giant man-eating spiders, which, by the way, if you have Spider-Man's powers for 3 days, the infection mutates and you turn into a giant man-eating spider. And that's what she wants, because she wants to be the Spider Queen of Manhattan and eventually the world. The Future Foundation, led by Reed Richards and Fantastic Four, with the help of S.H.I.E.L.D., comes up with a cure using Spider-Man's blood, of course, and Kane comes to confront them with the Jackal. Spider-Man and Kane have a big fight. Spider-Man knocks Kane into the vat of the cure, and Kane comes out looking like a normal person. No scars, he's all healed up, he can speak normally, he's not crazy anymore, he's cured of his disease, he's cured of his insanity, he has this is basically Kane 2.0, fresh start. And Spider-Man then gives him his stealth suit, because if you don't know, Spider-Man now is working for the Future Foundation, so he has a lab and the equipment to do all that inventing that he couldn't do before. And he's so much more cool now, and I'm super pissed about Superior Spider-Man. That's all I'm going to say about that. So he makes this stealth suit a while back, and he has this stealth suit on hand, and he gives it to Kane, and he kind of uses Kane as a decoy. He joins the Avengers to go out there and fight the Spider Queen, while actual Spider-Man, Peter Parker, goes with Mary Jane to the top of the tallest building in Manhattan, which is probably the Future Foundation's building, and disperse the cure to change everybody back to normal New Yorkers and the Avengers back to the Avengers. After that, he leaves town because he's like really paranoid. He's like, I don't care that I just saved New York. They're gonna try to bring me to justice for all the things that I did, all the terrible things that I did when I was evil and crazy. And so he leaves. And he doesn't tell anybody that he leaves, and he takes the stealth suit with him. Then he gets to not New York, but weeks later he gets to the harbors in Houston, and that's where we find ourselves. So he gets there, he stumbles across. Oh, hold on. Well, that was interesting. So he gets down to the harbors in Houston, and he comes across a human trafficking ring, and he saves this girl that he finds in this big metal container that's filled with dead people. They didn't pack it full of dead people. They were alive when they were put in there, down in Mexico, and they were tricked into believing that they were coming to America for a new life, and instead they were going to be sold into this human trafficking ring, women and children into prostitution, and males into slave labor. So, he busts open the container because he can smell something and sees all the dead people. There's one girl in there, and he saves her and takes her to the hospital, and then just scrams. He attaches himself to the side of this truck, this semi, and he's going down to Mexico, and he's sitting there having an argument with himself about, how he should really be hiding because of the terrible, terrible things that he's done in the past. And then he finally says, "You know what? I'm done running. I'm just going to live for a little bit. One night, having a great night, and just lay low, relax, and then I'll leave for Mexico tomorrow." He ends up going to the Four Seasons Hotel in downtown Houston, buying a $1,000 a night hotel room, bribing the kitchen staff to open the kitchen, and then he eats everything in there. Way to stay low-key, Kane. That's, hide, check, fail. After that, he just he reminisces about his past and how he got there and who he is. He's a shitty clone with terrible side effects because he wasn't cloned properly. And goes through the whole story of his history with Ben and how he thought he was saving Peter Parker's life somehow by fighting Ben and attempting to kill Ben. It's just all kind of messed up. And especially since Ben was the actual Spider-Man for a little while, he got really confused and just started attacking both of them. In the end, though, he actually sacrifices himself for Peter and dies, just like Ben did, but in a less... I don't know. He'll sacrifice himself for Peter. They're both admirable guys. And then he uses his little acid touch here to shave off his beard and shave his head. Because even though he has a shit ton of money, he can't just go out and buy a razor or whatever. He swings around Houston and discovers the humidity down here in Texas. And saves an old lady. He doesn't get into the Spider-Man costume yet. This guy called Salamander, who, if you can probably tell from the name, he has fire powers. Fire powers that he believes were given to him by the fire god, the fire serpent, whose actual name is the name of a Mayan god, and I can't pronounce it, so I'm not going to butcher it for you. He comes and he's looking for Arcel. He's coming to the spot where the human trafficking incident happened, where Kane found the girl in the big metal deal. And she's not there. The police are there, so he just fries all the police, and he hears before that she's at this hospital, so goes to the hospital that she's at, wreaks havoc there, and that's where we pick up on issue 2. So Kane is leaving towards Mexico. He's in a taxi. He's got all his shit with him, and he's leaving, and he sees the explosion at the hospital behind him, and he's like, son of a... Ugh. Because now that he's no longer crazy, he has a conscience, and that's something that, no joke, he is completely new to, and it bugs him a little bit. It annoys him that he feels the need to save people, and it's really funny. It makes for some funny inner dialogue on his part. He goes to the hospital, fights the salamander guy, throws him out of the hospital onto the ground. Guy falls like 4 stories and gets back up, so obviously there's more to him than just fire powers. But we don't know the full extent of it yet. I can tell you now, I've read up to issue 16, and the organization he's working for, the mysteries are just getting deeper and deeper. Who Araceli is, anywho. He saves Araceli. He beats the living shit out of Salamander because Salamander keeps calling him Spider-Man and it pisses him off. So he beats the fuck out of him. I'm not Spider-Man, and then webs him up in a cocoon and gives him to the police. Then he goes back to the hospital to check on Araceli. The doctor taking care of her actually becomes a major character in the series. He's a gay doctor, and I don't mean like he's a doctor that works on gay people. I mean like he's a homosexual and a doctor. And his boyfriend is like a lieutenant or a chief or something like that at the Houston Police Department. And it's not really explored what his rank is in the first two issues, so don't tell me that I don't know my shit. So yeah, they're a couple, and they talk to Scarlet Spider because they're really interested in him staying in Houston because Houston doesn't have a superhero to protect them against this crazy stuff that's going on now. And they tell him, she's an illegal immigrant, and me as an officer of the law, I have to hand her over to immigration. They'll take her back to Mexico. The people that just tried to kill her will try again, and we won't be able to protect her. So Scarlet Spider thinks it over for a little bit. I mean, initially he says no, and then leaves. Pretty blunt. But he thinks about it, he reconsiders, he comes back in the dead of night, takes her from the hospital, making sure no one has seen her so that no one can know where he's taking her, and he just takes her back to the hotel room that he bought. And she becomes his unofficial roommate, and he's going to be protecting her. And that's the end of the origin story. He appears at the hospital to fight Salamander in the new Scarlet Spider costume, which I've shown you on both of these covers. It's an awesome costume. I miss the old red and with the blue hoodie, but that is Ben's costume, and I would never want them to put that on anyone else, even another clone. So I'm glad that they gave him his own costume. I'm a little confused because this is supposed to be Peter's stealth costume, but as you can see, looks nothing like it. But I still like it. I love it. It has the same, it can stealth and camouflage like Peter's stealth costume. So it is the stealth costume. They just decided to change it for whatever reason. Maybe they'll explain that later. It's a great story. It really is. In the end, Kane has this little monologue where he's like, I used to be a monster. I'm not Spider-Man. I'm not Peter Parker by any stretch of the imagination, but this is a fresh start for me, so maybe I can be a good guy. If not, Mexico's right next door. And I love that line too at the end. Mexico's right next door. Because it is. Closing thoughts. My itinerary. Oh, I have to rate it first. Sorry. Great, like I said, great story. I really appreciate the writing of Christopher Yost. I appreciate the artwork for Stegman. He's really a world-class comic book artist, in my opinion. And you feel a little bit classic with a little bit of new, and I like that. Yost, Stegman, definitely the two guys that really started this powerhouse. Stegman's not the artist through most of it. I'm up to issue 16, and there's a new artist already, but he's just as good. I recommend this. I really recommend it, especially to anybody who cares about the Clone Saga and the Scarlet Spider and Silver Age Spider-Man as a whole. Anybody who really cares about that the way I do, because I grew up on it, you will love this. You will love this. This is a series created by people who are huge fans of the Clone Saga and Silver Age Spider-Man to begin with, so they're doing it right. I give this a 9 out of 10 because it's as close to perfect as a comic book can get, and for an opening story, an origin, and it's just really cool. And I'm really pleased with the direction it's going in right now. Maybe you guys will get to see that eventually. I'm going to be picking comics at random, so we'll see. That being said, Excelsior!